Hiya, I'm Not Random Cardcaptor. This week for A-1 Pictures Month, I'm reviewing Magic Kaito 1412, not to be confused with Magic Kaito Specials, which were airing from 2010 to 2012 and were done by TMS Entertainment. The series of Magic Kaito 1412 aired in fall 2014, had a lot of great series to compete with, so not everyone knew much about this series, unless they had already invested time into Detective Conan, which is a series within the same universe, and some may have even just looked at Magic Kaito because they already like the Phantom Thief sort of genre. Many don't know this, but Magic Kaito came out as a manga series by Aoyama Gosha before Detective Conan was even published. It's just that Detective Conan picked up speed and fans much more quickly as compared to Magic Kaito, but over time people in the Detective Conan fandom have come to love Kaito Kid as a character. I mean, who wouldn't? So anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's get this review started. Let's start with the story. Kaito is just a regular kid doing magic tricks and messing around with Alko for laughs since they're childhood friends. But then all that changes when he realizes that his dad was more than a magician. His dad was a phantom thief known as Kaito Kid. And 1412, when you spell it out, like next to each other, it looks a lot like the word kid, which is why we get the title that we do. Of course, his dad has been dead for 8 years, so who could take the job that Kaito Kid laid out other than the son of the original? He becomes Kaito Kid to find and destroy the Pandora Jewel that'll lead him to the organization that went after his dad. This anime is episodic, and I like the different heists within every episode, and the comedy is also solid, even if it has a little bit of, more of a retro style to it. Characters are engaging to watch, and when the show continues small plot points to continue Kaito's search, it just feels refreshing when it's added to the mix, even if it's not the main focus. Now let's talk about the opening and ending songs of this series. First off, let's talk about opening number 1, Kimi no Matsu Sekai by Lagoon. Has a nice flow to it, but I have to say, after listening to it for 12 episodes straight, I no Scenario was a blessing to listen to. The song really does sound nice and can pump you up for the episode, but after a while, in my opinion, I got a little annoyed by it. If I had to rewatch the series, I'd probably skip this opening, or better yet, mute it and just enjoy the fun visuals it has to offer. Now let's talk about opening number 2, I no Scenario by Chico with Honeyworks. I prefer this opening a million times more than I preferred Kimi no Matsu Sekai. It doesn't seem like it gets repetitive with each listen, and with the visuals, the song can be enjoyed even more. It gets me so pumped up for the episodes. I'm sure that many can agree that they really enjoy this song a lot from this series. I would definitely listen to it again in another rewatch. Now let's talk about ending song number 1, White of Crime by Relevancy. So this one does get very repetitive at times, but it does fit the anime very well. It's very Magic Kaito-esque. Sequencing isn't bad either. Gets me pumped for the next episode, showed some nice visuals. We'll probably listen to it again in another rewatch. Now let's talk about ending song number 2, Koi no Jumyo by Galileo Galilei. I love how this one has simple sequencing, but it still relaxes you or gets you hyped for the next episode. I listened to this song, then, I proceeded to look for more songs by Galileo Galilei. They have a real talent with music, and A1 Pictures did a good job matching the animation and sequences with this song. My favorite has to be Koi no Jumyo by Galileo Galilei. Its sequencing isn't probably the most impressive to choose from, but I will say this song kept me more pumped for the next episode than White of Crime did. Gave me a new band from Japan to listen to on my free time. Yeah, they don't make music much as a band anymore because I believe they've disbanded, but their Vivo page still exists, so I think I'll probably listen to more music on their Vivo page. And then, one that gets you really pumped up when starting the episode would probably be I no Scenario by Chico with Honeyworks. This flows wonderfully, pumps me up for what's to come. Feel free to list your favorite opening and ending songs down below. Now let's talk about the OST or, original soundtrack for the series. It really helps the series to come to life in many ways. The songs in this OST just ooze Magic Kaito vibes. Taku Iwasaki did an excellent job composing for the series. I really like his style. The favorites of the OST, in my opinion, my favorites were Message from the Past, Inspector Nakamori Slowin' Up, Magical Gadget, Magical Flight, Blue Girl, and The End of the Show. These were some of my personal favorites. Feel free to list your favorite OST songs from the series down below. Now, let's talk about the characters. Kaito Kuroba, he's the main character of this series, and it focuses on what Kaito Kid sees as opposed to what Conan would normally see when they interact and stuff. He's Kaito Kid because of special circumstances. He's not exactly a thief because he wants to be, but rather it's what he feels like he can do to put together what really happened to his father, and along with finding the Pandora gem and destroying it. However, I suppose this job as Kaito Kid has its perks as well, such as an audience enamored by his tricks and being able to play a game of cat and mouse with Conan and Inspector Nakamori. Now, let's talk about Aoko Nakamura. Kaito's neighbor and childhood friends. She has feelings for Kaito, and much like Kaito taunts her, she takes the time to taunt him back sometimes. Say he messes with her during class by peeking under her skirt. She'll find his weakness and exploit it to get him back for the embarrassment. She desperately wants her father to be able to catch Kaito Kid because she believes Kaito Kid is a jerk. Plus, she doesn't want her father to keep being made a fool because of Kaito Kid. I love how cheesy Kaito and Aoko are with each other. She might say something romantic, or he might say something romantic, and it's just so cheesy. Now let's talk about the inspector, Ginzo Nakamura. He's Aoko's father. He has dedicated his life to catching Kaito Kid rather than completely focusing on some of the reports on his desk. He's a goofball with slightly fired up attitude. He can be stubborn, and sometimes refuses help when catching Kaito Kid. He gets excited about the thought of catching Kid. He gets caught up in the show and the illusion of it all, which is why he tends to miss on catching Kaito Kid when the heist is finishing up. He's a very loving father who clearly cares about Aoko, but he can also get super depressed if Kid isn't putting out a notice. Now let's talk about Kaito's mom, Shikage Kuroba. She's probably not really a main character, but she does show up every, few episodes. She's a widow who constantly loves to blab to Kaito about how she fell in love with Toichi, Kaito's dad. She lives long distance from Kaito for the most part, which isn't always explained. The closest explanation probably has to do with her past as the Phantom Lady, a thief with the ability to change into many faces, which is probably where Toichi or Kaito got the idea to change their faces when thieving. Now let's talk about Toichi Kuroba, Kaito's dad who died in an accident. Yes, I have that in quotes. From one of his failed escape tricks. His death was believed to have been planned by an organization who disliked what he did as the original Kaito Kid, like Toichi getting on their turf when it came to him choosing the jewels he wanted to steal. I want to believe that somehow he survived the escape act and went into hiding, but so far it would appear his character is dead. He was also a great magician who performed regular magic with his assistant G, who now helps out Kaito. Now let's talk about some more minor characters that are also just as equally important. Hakuba Saguro. He's a teenage detective from Britain. He came to Japan because he wanted to make his goal to capture Kaito Kid, even if Genzo was trying to catch Kaito Kid first. He could have been a potential love rival for Aoko and Kaito, but it doesn't appear to go anywhere. He could be an interesting nemesis for Kaito as well, but once again, Inspector Nakamori and Conan hold those positions best. Hakuba is probably one of the characters with so much potential that it doesn't get utilized. He helps Kaito by giving a warning about Chat Noir, a thief trying to steal some gem before Kaito. He's one of the few people besides Akako or Conan who knows the true identity of Kaito Kid, or he has a suspicion of who Kaito Kid is. Akako Koizumi. She is sort of the Ojo-sama character of the series, like that's her type of character. She aspires to be the most desired woman who holds attention of all the males at her school. She has every guy under her spell, except for Kaito. She constantly, throughout the series, tries to get Kaito to fall for her, or have eyes only for her. She practices with supernatural spells and magic to try and get Kaito to fall for her. She eventually even assists Kaito with some of his planned heists. Because of her assisting Kaito, I almost consider her similar to Haibara from Detective Conan. She gets worried about Kaito sometimes and likes to watch over him in her own cautious way. Then there are villain characters that show up every few episodes. They go after Kaito because Kaito's dad likely wronged them in the past. Most of them are fairly harmless, and each enemy tends to have their own differing goals. Then there's Midnight Crow, a thief who shows up in the last 2 episodes, wearing the opposite colors of Kaito Kid, a black cape, hat, suit, and red lining on some of the clothes as opposed to blue. He says he's an acquaintance of Toichi, getting vengeance for him, but chances are Midnight Crow is Toichi, who may have showed up to keep Kaito out of danger that comes with him searching for the Pandora Jewel. But there's not complete confirmation. It might just even be his mom using a disguise technique. It's one of those fan theories that you find within the Detective Conan and Magic Kaito fandom. Now my favorites, I'd have to say I really like Ginzo Nakamori. I just love how gleeful he gets when he thinks he'll catch Kaito Kid. I think besides Kaito, he's probably one of the characters that makes up a good portion of the comedy in this series. My favorite female character is Akoko. She intrigues me a bit. She wants Kaito to fall for her, but even knowing that information, you can't always guess what crazy scheme she plans for her next, attempts of grabbing Kaito. Now let's talk about the art style. As a fan of Detective Conan already, I had no trouble adjusting to the art style of Magic Kaito. The only thing I would really say was, I really had to only adjust to how A-1 Pictures handled the series in this style, and how TMS handled the series. I think A-1 made it seem more glittery, which I kind of liked. And don't get me wrong, TMS handles the style very well, but when you compare this series with the Magic Kaito specials, it just hits different. And yeah, maybe the specials had a few more original episodes in there, but it didn't really cover everything that this series had. So if you're looking for something more light, you can watch the Magic Kaito specials instead. But if you're looking for slightly more development in the plot, along with the episodic nature, then the 2014 anime might be more up your alley. Or if you're just a Detective Conan and Magic Kaito fan, you'll probably love both versions and can probably enjoy what they both have to offer. Now, what is my overall rating? So far, I rate this series an 8.5 out of 10. There's some elements that are a bit odd for the show when it connects with the more realistic take of certain things that Detective Conan does, such as Akako having the ability to do magic. It's not a main issue, but it is odd. If Magic Kaito weren't connected with the Detective Conan universe, this wouldn't be a huge issue, honestly. But I have to also consider the time the manga came out. The manga came out in 1988, so this element is perfect for that era of manga and anime, where a character like Akako is pretty commonplace in a story Shonen Sunday lineup. And then, another reason I rated the series this way was because of the intro and outro sequences with Kaito. I don't hate them per se, they just didn't pop out as much with Kaito as a character. Yeah, it's like a magician introducing himself and then ending the show with a farewell after all his tricks are done. But I don't know, maybe it could have been flashier in some way. And I do like the OST they used for it, for both the outro and intro, but I just wish they had been a little flashier or something. I don't know. Overall, still enjoy the series immensely. Only point out these things for the series that I consider as flaws because I care about the series. I would love to see more of Magic Kaito without having to sift through Detective Conan episodes or movies, and hopefully we'll get more Magic Kaito in the future. Now, would I buy the series? I would love to buy it. Magic Kaito, while not my favorite Detective Conan or Magic Kaito character, is incredibly fun to watch. If the prices weren't so expensive for the DVDs, and if the DVDs weren't region locked, then I would love to have them in my anime collection. For now, I think I'll just stick to streaming on Crunchyroll if I ever want to rewatch it. I would probably also buy the manga too if the series were licensed in the US like Detective Conan. But I guess if I really wanted to read it, I'd better start, like, picking up some Japanese. Now, where can you buy it or stream it? You can buy it on Amazon, however it is region locked to certain countries within Europe. You have the choice to either watch it in Japanese or German. There's a Japan copy of the DVD, but it's quite expensive. It's also available to stream on Netflix or Amazon Prime Video in select countries. If possible, you can stream them on Crunchyroll unless you have a region-all DVD for the Europe DVD sets of Magic Kaito, or unless you can use the other streaming services where it plays. Now, here are my recommendations. Recommendation number 1. Detective Conan. Same universe as Magic Kaito, but focuses more on the detective work and solving cases and mysteries. One day, Shinichi Kudo, 16-year-old high school detective who looks almost the same as Kaito, gets caught trying to record a sketchy business deal, and then bam, gets knocked out by a black organization member who is part of the deal, by the name of Jin. They try to silence him with a drug that is supposedly an untraceable poison, but little do they know, Shinichi survived and actually shrunk into a 6-year-old body instead. Will he get his body back to normal? Will he figure out how to stop this mysterious group? Watch to find out. The series are both fun. Detective Conan, while it is long watch, it is well worth it when you start catching up and hit an epic arc in the story. Recommendation number 2. Lupin the Third. This is a series with a lovable thief in it as well. Arsene Lupin the Third is just oozing charm like Kaito Kid. Lupin, much like Kaito, works with partners while performing his thievery. Lupin has Daisuke Jigen and Fujiko Mine, and Kaito has Ji and Akako on some occasions. Lupin is probably the oldest anime in the Phantom Thief genre. This series practically invented the genre in anime. The art might be off-putting to some at first, but once you get used to it, you can really enjoy the ride. And also, another fun thing is the fact that Kaito's disguise is similar to the original Arsene Lupin thief, and Lupin the Third here, he literally shares the same name, but he's the third one in line of the descendants. The more you know. Recommendation number 3. D Angel. Both series contain infamous thieves known by many. The only difference would probably be the circumstances. Daisuke inherits a spirit called Dark Mausi that steals because he can, and Daisuke doesn't really have much of a choice but to figure out how to break this curse that plagues his family. Kaito inherits the job of Kaito Kid because his dad's mysterious disappearance or accident, and he becomes Kaito Kid to find the jewel that leads him to the organization that went after his dad. They both have the police going after them whenever they steal items from museums and whatnot. Dean Angel is probably slightly darker, at least with the manga, whereas Magic Kaito is mostly lighthearted, which makes sense coming from Shonen Sunday. If Magic Kaito had more chapters, maybe it could get even darker, but for now I'm glad the story is lighthearted. Well, anyway, thanks for watching if you got this far. I'm sorry it took so long. I really did try it. I literally typed up probably 8 or 9 pages in this script. I'm very sorry, you guys. But yeah, thank you if you got this far. See ya, and go catch that good anime.